Okay, I was down here yesterday after cutting the grass, didn't have my camera with me, and I had been doing some investigation regarding the factory alarm system, which sounds the horn. You get out of the car, you lock it here, that turns on power to the system. And the problem that it had was as soon as I turned that key on, the alarm would start to go off. So clearly something was wrong. So I did a bunch of investigation looking at wiring diagrams, etc. And I don't know if I can get a camera on it, but inside this fender, I'm looking at the back side of the key switch. Well, I can't quite see the switch because stuff's in the way, and I can't get the camera much further down in there. But you can see an orange wire and a yellow wire right there. They go to the switch. Okay, in addition to that, there was a black and a white wire. Let me see if I can pull that up here. That's to the windshield washer. Here's the other black and white wire. It's got two contacts on it, and it went to, and I hope this doesn't fall apart, it went to this switch. Okay, I'll get back to that switch a little later, but I'm going to go over the rest of how the alarm system works. The orange wire provides the power to the switch on the fender. The yellow wire goes from there back to the compartment behind the rear seat, or rear seat, only seats, behind the passenger seat. And see if I can get the camera onto that. Okay, that metal box is the relay. And you can see right here, I guess it turns into a pink wire. Well, the pink is always hot, I think, to this. The yellow wire comes to the flasher. Okay, and black and white wires going to the relay or ground right here, going into the relay. So what happens is anytime there's a ground in any of the switches that control the alarm, even if it just momentarily grounds out, that relay is designed so that it doesn't go off when the ground is broken. So for instance, if you would open the driver's door as I have here, this little door ajar switch would pop out. That grounds it out. The relay would trigger and provide voltage to the horn, which is up under the rear fender. Okay, we're looking at the back of the car. The rear bumper is off, the bumper cover is off. We're going to look up inside that fender, and that's where the alarm system horn is. I should have moved the camera a little over. Oh, I don't know whether I could see behind it, but I'll point out the here's the horn right here, and over here there's the wires going to it. I know that works because the way the alarm system was malfunctioning is that it was turning on just as soon as you turned that key. So I don't need to look at that any further. I know it works. So you have the two door ajar switches that could trigger it. I read somewhere that there supposedly was some way that it could be triggered by removing a T-top. However, that may be for a later model year because I don't see any other wires going up to it. The only other wire that comes up to the top is this one right here, and that's for the map reading lights on the mirror. So there's nothing going up the other side, nothing going up either of the back panels. So in short, I don't see how anything could be triggered by the removal of T-tops. However, and I think this is an aftermarket thing, this is a shock sensor here that will ground it out if you bump the car too hard. So if somebody's beating on it or something, it could trigger it. And then there's a pin switch for the hood, which again, when you pop it up like that, it would ground it out. So that's the complete system. Well, I think I finally figured out why the darn thing was triggering as soon as I turned the key here. So this switch is an anti-tampering switch for the alarm, and I had to break it to get it out. So there were supposed to be two pins coming out of this. One flew, I don't know where it went, but I couldn't get it out. The reason I had to break it is because this appears to be a nylon stud and the bolt is stripped. So it wouldn't turn out. So I got something under, I pried it up. Well, doing some investigation into how this switch works, this is a normally closed switch. In other words, there's continuity between this pin and the other one that I lost. So when you plug in that black and white wire, it completes the grounding circuit. If you have this uninstalled, say, this little thing here is actually a button that pushes in and breaks that contact between those two pins. That, and since I couldn't get the video of the actual ignition alarm switch with the key, but this pushes up against a pin, or I don't know if I'd call it a pin. It's a flat L-shaped bracket. So assume this is that bracket. You push it up against that bracket that's attached to the alarm pin. You tighten it down. Well, it couldn't be tightened down because this bolt was stripped. Therefore, that pin was not depressed. And since that pin wasn't depressed, the continuity existed between the two pins on this, and it grounded out the system, triggered the alarm. The only way you can shut the alarm off is to undo the key. So, as it turns out, the alarm will work without this switch. The only difference is, with this switch in there, if someone takes a puller, threads it into the key on your fender, this is the door, but if they would thread it into that fender and then use the slide puller to pop that key cylinder out. If you have this switch in place, that takes the pressure off of this button, completes the circuit to ground, and sets off the alarm. So other than if somebody would try to disable the alarm by pulling that key cylinder, the absence of this really does nothing. So that's how the alarm system works. Took me a while to figure it out. It was very hard to find anything on the wiring of the system, but I did eventually find it. And nowhere in those wiring diagrams does it show this switch. So this was a puzzle to me, and I think I found information on it and the fact that it's a normally closed switch on either a vendor's site, because I was thinking I had to replace it. Now I know that I don't have to replace it because the alarm system will still work, and I'm 99% sure that that was the whole problem with the alarm system, because this couldn't be tightened due to that bolt being stripped. Couldn't be tightened, couldn't be loosened. And this was just flopping around in there, so there was no pressure on this button, if you will, to keep that from completing the circuit. So that's the lesson for today on the alarm system. I'm undecided as to whether I'm going to buy one of these switches. They're about 30 bucks. Not a terrible amount, but if you order it by itself, you know, you're probably going to pay 10 bucks shipping. So I either may not replace it, or maybe I'll wait till I have to order some other stuff that will get me free shipping if I add this in. So that's it for the alarm system for today.